I'm James Tortise-Crawford. I work in the arts and culture sector and I sing and don't get paid for it. I think as far back as I can remember thinking I'd have a job at some point, I always thought it was going to be in the cultural sector somewhere. I think I sort of fell into that. I always sang as a child. I sang a lot at school and then at university. And then I started sort of helping out behind the scenes with all of that stuff. So running tours and concerts and runs at the Edinburgh Fringe, that kind of thing. And then when it got to the point where I needed to start earning money, I thought, I think some people get paid for that, so why don't I try and do that? And so I did. And it took me a while to find a job in the cultural sector in London, sort of 4 months of trying and failing to get jobs. And then I started as a PA at the Royal Opera House, one of the directors. And it was a great place to start because it was in the middle of everything. Right? I got a sense of all the different bits that come together to make an organisation like that work. So, I was working with the front of house team and the ballet company and the finance team and HR and the technicians and the wig makers and, just seeing it all come together for this united purpose, but also getting a sense of how they need to talk to each other and work with each other. And so I didn't think I was going to be a PA forever, but that meant that when a project opportunity came up, I sort of put my hand up and said, can I have a go at running that? And they buddied me up with someone and did it, and then sort of the rest is history. So I was at the Opera House for about 5 years, and then I took a bit of a sidestep. I then moved into higher education. So I went to work for a university in London in their culture team, so looking at the sort of interface between the cultural sector and academia. And part of that, I knew what I was doing. It was sort of putting exhibitions and events and things on, but then a whole swathe of new stuff, like working with researchers and academics and students that was brand new to me. A lot of the principles were the same, but it was really interesting to see how it played out with a different group of people and a different set of audiences. Then after that, I went and worked for Hull 2017 when it was UK City of Culture for 2.5 years up there. And that was a pure culture role again, but I didn't have any of my own projects there. So at that point, I was helping other people plan their projects and then helping them explain those projects to other people and helping the senior team keep an eye across the sort of the whole program. It was slightly more removed from the end product. And I felt that, I noticed that, but it was an amazing place to be. Then I went back to higher education, but this time not actually. This was my only job that wasn't in the creative and cultural industries. I was working in sort of civic responsibility and civil society and social responsibility, and how the university belonged to the places that it was sort of geographically located in. So we looked at how actually as an institution that had 8,000 staff and whatever 800 million pound turnover, how it could do more, even more than teaching and research, how it could also sort of serve local communities. Yeah, that really sparked something in me, I think. Which is why now I'm working at two of the museums in Cambridge, at the Fitzwilliam Museum and the Archaeology and Anthropology Museum, MAA. I mean, there's no one path in, right? But I think there's no one creative industry, right? I think the broader my experience, the more I see how many different places there are to work and still be part of the cultural sector. So I think broad. I've now worked in performing arts and visual arts and museums and material culture and higher education, and I never planned any of that. That's the stuff that happened to come up at the time. So I think be open to the different areas of the sector that you can work in. But similarly, there were 1,000 people at the Opera House, and they went from costume makers to dancers to HR consultants. Like there are a lot of ways to be involved in the sector. So you might not be on the stage. It'd be quite nice to be on the stage sometimes. But there are so many other ways to be part of that, and genuinely part of that, and feel part of that, and celebrate the sort of shared successes of being in it. I tried maybe to mislead my interviewers for the first job I went for. I said, I'm passionate about opera, which was not true. And apparently that nearly lost me the job, because it turns out that boss, what she wanted was someone who was passionate about spreadsheets. And I just didn't say it. I thought that would be the wrong thing to say. So I think really important, and I've got better at this, but I'm still trying, is to present the best version of yourself when you're trying for these things, but make sure it is a version of yourself, that you're not presenting something that you're making up. Make sure that it's something that you actually care about, something that you really believe in and want to be involved in, not what you think someone wants to hear, because that'll only last so long. Whereas if you're genuinely open and honest and interested in it, then that's what gets you excited and what gets you into the industry and on.